Hello, everybody. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Norma, good evening, Dee and beautiful Chad. Carol, hello, everyone. Barney, hi, Norma. Carol, Photon, hi, everyone. Carol, hello. All the hellos. Barney, Norma. How is everyone? Ole, hi, Norma. Photon. I fell asleep during this morning's live. I understand. It's all right because I was tired too. No worries, no worries. Carol, hello. Good evening, Double Dog. Double D says L, Norma, Photon. Good to have all of you. Good to have you all. Hope everyone's having a good evening. You got it, Photon. Hope everyone is having a good evening. I ran out of my prescription sleep med, so I am out of whack. Hey, I just got my shipping in this morning, so I am ready to go because now I know I'm going to be able to sleep right. Welcome in, Pam. Hey, Dee Dee, and everyone. Sorry I've been MIA, but I got the bee flu. Oh, no. And been really sick. Hey, totally understandable. Just make sure you're well. Don't say a whole lot if you don't need to, no doubt. Thank you so much for always supporting the channel, Pam. Appreciate you. Thank you. Click that like, everybody, as you come in. Click that like. Give that thumbs up. Share the stream. The more people we get in here, the more knowledgeable we're going to be for it. And we'll help each other become more smarter, without a doubt. Ole, welcome in. Welcome in. All right. So today I want to cover a little bit of a recap because I think it's important. Because I got a feeling we're going to be getting something here. Doug, hey, how you doing, Doug? Good to have you, my friend. We were all worried about you earlier today in the morning live. Hope the move went fine and everything is settled in. Give a couple minutes to get all the highs. We haven't seen Doug in a while. Chris is probably still vacationing with his family up at Maine, at the beach on Maine, in Maine, should I say. Then again, he could be lurking around because he always lurks. And for everybody who's lurking around, hey, understand this channel, it's all about everybody's opinion, and everybody's opinion matters. So if you want to come in, don't feel like you're out of place because here we try to answer everybody's questions. New place, had no service of internet, just got everything turned back on. Glad to be back. You got it, my friend. Glad to have you back. I'm glad everything went okay. Oh, he'll be back tomorrow. No doubt about it, Al. All right. Well, let's get started. So today I want to recap on a 19-year-old who went missing and was found unalive by the name of Marley Kinney. Marley Kinney from Ashland, Kentucky. She disappeared on the 24th and she was found on the 28th. Now they did a looking up. Hi, Tusi. Welcome in, Tusi. So they did a lot of looking for her. They used every extremes, and they finally ended up finding her. She was in the eastern part of Kentucky, literally on Grayson Lake. Holly, welcome in. The operator of the boat was arrested in that case. Is that is that for the OBI, Holly? The operator of the boat was arrested in that case. Yes, yes, he did get charged with OBI. That is correct. Well said. Thank you, Holly. He blew a 0.137, which is twice the legal limit. He got arrested because he didn't want to take a chance on going to court and then having a higher sentence. Marty says, my internet is goofy. 3 connections fighting over one another. Hello, everybody. Misty AM was working early. You're good, Tusi. No problem. So, Kenny was 19 years old. Just a very young person. And the idea of literally that she went out live, she became unalive, and literally the idea that someone that young could go unalive is really, really sad, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So, just to give you a little bit on her, I want to show you this is her here so that you guys can see a little bit of who she is and what she is. Let's see here. Make sure I got this one up. So this is a picture of her, literally. Well, let's see here. Let's see here. Trying to find which one am I connected to. Sorry, everybody. Give me a second. Here we go. So this is her right here, everybody. This is Marley Kinney, 19-year-old. Well, just stand by. Just stand by. So we'll get to those pictures here in a minute. I'm having issues over here as well. So she's 19 years old. She goes missing on the 24th. She's on a pontoon boat with a bunch of friends of hers, just a group of friends. And, they're going out and they're going to this rock known as Sex Rock. I think it's Sex Rock. Let me make sure. Yes, the Sex Rock. Basically, when they climb this top of the rock and they jump off into literally the lake. It's at Grayson Lake, which is in eastern Kentucky. She's originally from Ashland. And so according to everything, they had timestamps when she was jumping. They were taking pictures of her and her friends when they were jumping off the rock into the lake. So what ends up happening is apparently they go down, and after a while, they were only there at the rock jumping. Let me add, they were only there at the rock jumper for about, 10, 20 minutes is what they said. And then they left. And they do have pictures of them jumping, so it's not like it's all, not real. And so what ends up happening is They end up going ahead and she needs to use the restroom. Okay. She needs to use the restroom. So they go ahead and they pull in, they come to this area by the shore, and they go ahead and they apparently they said they anchored down, and she got off the boat. She didn't go to the restroom because she didn't want to walk all the way to the restroom. So she just got off the boat through the side of the boat and kind of went a little ways just so she can go ahead and urinate. And in that process, behold unto everybody, the boat eventually left and she was not on the boat. She was not on the boat. So about 2 to 3 hours later, and you got to understand there was alcohol on the boat. I'll just put it that way. There was alcohol on the boat, so you would have to assume, don't know for a fact, but I'm sure people were drinking on the boat. Now, other than herself and another boy on that boat, they were the only 19-year-olds, I believe. Everybody else was 21 or older. They were drinking. The boat left. About 2 to 3 hours later, when they got done and they came back, the boat, Mr. Conley, Cameron Conley, who was 23 years of age, he was the one that was navigating the boat. He ends up realizing she's not on the boat. So he calls the park rangers, authorities, wildlife, game, calls them and lets them know that there was a girl that was on the boat, but when they came back, she was not on the boat. So they sent out all these different entities, all these different groups like, radar and heat sensor and just anything you can think of to try to locate this young lady. And they had no luck. And they were searching and searching and searching, and they had no luck locating her. Then on the 28th, they ended up finding her 4 days later, and she was obviously unalive. I miss all that. You sorry if I caused concern, but I appreciate it. No worries, no worries. You're good, Doug. Just glad you're doing well. So she ends up going ahead, and they find her body. And, the theory is what happened? How could anybody not know she had got off? I mean, that's why they went down to that edge of the water so she could get off the boat and go ahead and use the restroom. However, she did not go to the restroom. She just went off the side of the boat to go ahead and urinate. And then the boat left. Now, they did end up charging the boat, the captain, as they call him. They did end up charging him with BOI. When he reported the call, they could smell it. When they came down to look, they could smell alcohol in his breath and whatnot. And he blew a .137, twice the legal limit. So they went ahead and they did arrest him and charged him for BOI, boating over influence, in the influence of boating, drinking while boating. So the whole idea now is that he ended up going to court, and he took obviously a plea deal because he didn't want charges to be even higher, because no one knew what happened to her. Now her friends are all saying that people that were on the boat are saying they don't remember when she got off. Holly, I don't think that people realize that drunk driving a boat just as dangerous as driving a car. Without a said, Holly, well said, well said. Photon, Doug, I told everybody you were probably on your secret mission. Barney, no worries, Doug. So she goes ahead and they end up charging him for it. But they still haven't come back with anything of how she was unalive. They did the autopsy. They did the autopsy, but they haven't given a report yet to find out what caused her unaliving. Was it something nefarious, or was it something that was just happened by freak nature. No one really knows at this point. Now, her boyfriend was on the boat and her ex-boyfriend was on the boat. There was several people on the boat, and no one seen her get off. No one seen her get on. And they're all saying the same thing. They didn't know she got off the boat. So some of the things that were also talked about were Willow is her sister, is Marley's sister, Willow. And she said that basically that they didn't know she was off the boat. Now, there was a female teacher on that boat. They said her age was approximately 30 to 40 years old. She was on the boat. Now, not a big deal the teacher was on the boat. I mean, everybody was 19-year-old and above. But this teacher was 30 to 40 years old female, is what they reported. And everyone else other than Marley and this boy were 19 and everybody else was 21 or older. So the idea that they haven't come out with any new information and they haven't said what was the cause of her death. I mean, the interlap of time spent, the interlap time that was spent, welcome in, April, welcome in. The time that was spent was 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours before they noticed she was not on the boat. Now, anything could have happened in 2 to 3 hours. Don't know what happened, but anything could have happened. So that is the stage right now of what we're discussing. Any thoughts? Any thoughts at all? Any ideas? Don't forget to hit the like, everybody. Yet again, nobody's seen anything. People need to be aware of their surroundings without a doubt, Holly. Well said, well said. Barney, April, I live in a house full of kids. Norma, just a theory. Maybe she got caught under with the boat and tangled up in seaweed. That's a good possibility. That's a good possibility. Norma, yes, Holly, exactly. I mean, it doesn't help that there was obviously alcohol on the boat, right? And it doesn't help that your captain is twice over the limit. You know, he said he didn't remember her getting off, but he's the one that took the boat to that location. He's the one that stopped the boat, and she was the one that got off the side. So it ought to tell you how maybe inebriated he really was. Twice the limit is not anything to sneeze about, without a doubt. So it very well could have been he thought he was there for a while. Maybe he was only there for a couple minutes and took off, and she was out there in no man's land and got all tangled up in the weeds or whatever, you know. But it's sad that this had to go down this way. Not sure, Joshua, I'm not sure how big the boat was, but it was a pretty big boat because, well, it was a pontoon boat, and it had about, I thought if I read it right, they're not giving the names of everybody, but I'm going to say there was at least 6 to 8 people on that boat, maybe more. But they didn't really say, you know, because they didn't give out everybody's name that was on that boat, being that it's under investigation right now to try to figure out what happened to her. But it was, I believe, a rental that they rented. Tusi, again, no camera around. Something is off on this story. Doug, again, waiting on science. Hopefully autopsies will give some answers. I mean, it could be, honestly, it could be totally an accident, or it could be negligence, you know, or it could just be something happened to her. We just don't know. But when they do the toxicology report, they're going to be able to tell by checking all, it's kind of like the Nolan case in a sense, not so much the Nolan's Well case, not so much if somebody did something nefarious or not, but the idea that she goes into the water, she's on a boat, There's alcohol in a boat. Alcohol, boat, water, they just don't mix. All for something bad to happen. And obviously, something here happened. Now, everybody liked her. Everybody said nothing but positive things about her. So it wasn't like she wasn't liked by anybody. There was her boyfriend on the boat, and there was her ex-boyfriend as well was on the boat. She was last seen at about 4 p.m. 4 p.m. on the 24th is the last time anybody remembers her being on the boat. Welcome in, Joshua. Welcome in. They had, like I said, they had everybody out there. And she was found on Grayson Lake by the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wild Resource. They confirmed her identity. But everything else is still pending. The BUI individual, there's probably going to be a lot said about him, unfortunately. Because when something goes bad and you are the captain of the boat and you are the one in charge of that boat and you are charged with being intoxicated twice over the limit, it doesn't look good for him. But he went ahead and pleaded out. I don't know if there's going to be anything, that the family is going to look into him for anything civil-wise. They never really said that. But, 0.137 is twice the legal limit. Doug, she probably left her phone on the boat. They didn't really specify any of that, to be honest. Barney, one of my sons was left behind at a Boy Scout event when he was about 11. Scouts were doing their turns at bathroom, but the leader didn't do head count before they left. Leader captain is liable. Well, especially in this situation, because you don't know if they left. Did it catch her off guard? Did she get hit by the boat? Was she that, if they didn't know she got off the boat, they sure as hell not going to know how close she was to the boat, right? So could she have gotten hit by the boat? I don't know how they work the pontoon boats. Joshua, if you know, let us know. I don't know how they all operate. I'm not a boat guy. So the idea that literally this is what happened could have been, in my opinion, prevented have everybody been on their P's and Q's, in my opinion. Holly, was he stopped by the police while driving the boat or when she reported missing? He was actually, they arrested him and did all their analyzation when he came in to report her missing. When he came in to report, they could smell the alcohol, and they did the test, and he came back twice the limit. And then he admitted to having drinking quite a bit. So it's not like he denied it. He actually admitted it, which is rarely in these days that we live in. But, that's where we're at with that. Good question, Holly. Good question. Doug, I'm pretty sure he went back out searching for her, then was apprehended. Well, he probably did, but when they couldn't, he probably did go back out there looking for her, but they couldn't find her. 3 hours later, they could not find her. And so that's why he ended up going ahead and getting a hold of authorities. And that's when they went ahead and charged him. Yes, apparently that's what they said. They could smell it on him. So I don't think that it had anything to do with a phone call, because the idea that if they smelled it is because he's there in person. But I mean, you would think you would, people don't realize, but when something like this happens, people get in shock too. Even people that are drinking, it's that pucker factor kicks in, like, oh God, am I going to be held responsible? Oh God, and then you try to straighten out, but you can't obviously get rid of that odor in a matter of an hour or so. You can't get rid of that odor, and that's what they noticed. And when they did the blood alcohol content, they did the breathalyzer and whatnot, that's what he blew. And then, of course, he admitted it too. Joshua says, it's kind of hard to not notice someone is missing. A pontoon is a floating dock with the motor. Yeah, see, I'm not really, I'm not a boat guy, but hey, that makes perfect sense to me. It seems like common sense that somebody would have noticed that she wasn't on the boat, and they don't get into like how old everybody was, other than they did say there was a teacher on the boat who was in her 30s to 40 years old, female. So that's the only new thing, the only little thing that they threw in there. They did say, like I said, they did have pictures. They showed pictures of her on the rock. Did the police impound the boat? I wonder. I'm not sure. They didn't really specify, probably because it was under investigation. They didn't really give any really details. Everything was about the search that lasted 4 days to locate her body. And then it was after that, it was literally trying to figure everything out, Let me see if I can find some pictures of her here. So give me a second. Let me see, just so you guys know who she is. Let's see if this is the one. I think this is it. Okay. So this is her right here. Let me see. Stream. So this right here is her to the left. That is Marley, 19 years old. And this individual over here is Cameron Connolly. He was the one that was 23 years old. He was the one in charge of the boat. He was the captain, so to speak. This guy right here is the one that got charged. Now, there's been a lot of little, different things, but there hasn't been a lot of information as to who, what, where, when, why. This is another picture of her right here. So, like I said, it's going to come down to, probably on a civil thing, it's going to come down to literally the idea of whether they try to do something civilly against this individual. Now, this is her other sister named Holly right here. This is her sister, Holly. I'm sorry, Willow. This is her sister, Willow. This right here is Willow. And as you can see, this is the family, but that's her sister that was, I believe, on the boat at the same time. So let's go here. This is her again there. This is where it all happened. This is Grayson Lake. It looks like a very peaceful, very beautiful place. But when you combine water, boating, and alcohol, it's just not a good mixture. So that's basically who she is. And I wanted to show you that so you guys could have got a little bit of kind of see who, what, when, where, why. Trying to see if there's a video, and I know there's a video out. We'll look here in a second. But it was apparently they were all partying, so it's not, don't know that for sure, so I can't really say that. But it appears that they were all partying during this time. So that's who that person is. Let's see here. And Doug says, it was a rental and my memory serves me correct. Still need to know if he was already drinking when the boat was rented to him. Yeah, because that could come back too. If they had been drinking prior to getting that boat, absolutely. Then now you're looking at the person who could have been the person who rented in the boat knowing he was drinking. I mean, at this point, I think In my opinion, I think that ship is going to sail already because he already took the fall to say that he was drinking, and they did already charge somebody with this. Pam says he thought to go report her missing, then he would know she wasn't there. If there's lakes has banks, they could be very slippery, and if she was barefooted, she could possibly feel fell on herself. It's very possible. And I would think she was barefooted because she was on the boat. They were all in their swimming gear. So it wasn't like you were wearing tennis shoes or anything. So, yeah, very, very, very good point, Pam. Very good point. Tusi, beautiful young lady. Barney, scout leader, just asked the boys in the van if everyone's here. Of course, the boys all yelled back, yes. That was a huge mistake. No doubt about it. Got to do a head count. Got to do a head count, or when something like this goes wrong, man, it comes on you hard. Barney, so sad her life ended so young. Without a doubt, Barney, well said. Joshua, she would be tough to miss. Stunning, yes. Very well. She would be missed, especially when her boyfriend was apparently on the boat, if I read that correctly, and her ex-boyfriend was on the boat. You know, it's kind of crazy. Now, there is a video, I believe. Let me see here. I'm almost positive there's a video here. So let me go here. Let's see here.
Rock in the last hours, a gruesome discovery. But now we're hearing nobody on the boat. At least 10 people remembers what happened to Marley. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
Click that like, everybody. Click the like. Hit the thumbs up.
19-year-old Marley Kinney is spending the day on Kentucky's Grayson Lake with friends when she jumps off a pontoon boat but never makes it back on board. As investigators respond, they discover the boat's captain is allegedly intoxicated and unable to tell them where Kinney entered the water.
That was Sex Rock right
Hi,
there.
my name is Willow. In the photo is a picture of me and my sister, Marley Kinney. And if you live anywhere near me in Kentucky, you know that she has been missing for about 3 to 4 days now. She went missing on Wednesday, the 24th of this month.
Thank you for being with us.
"19-year-old Marley Kinney is spending the day on Kentucky's Grayson Lake with friends when she jumps off a pontoon boat but never makes it back on board. As investigators respond, they discover the boat's captain is allegedly intoxicated and unable to tell them where."
So this is Sex Rock. This is the edge that I was telling you where they were jumping off of. They were coming down, jumping off into the lake right here. But that's what they call Sex Rock there, just to give you guys an idea. And I believe this is her right here, Marley Kinney to the left.
Where Kinney entered the water.
Hi, my name is Willow. In the photo is a picture of me and my sister, Marley Kinney.
Right here.
And if you live anywhere near me in Kentucky, you know that she has been missing for about 3 to 4 days now. She went missing on Wednesday, I believe the 24th of this month. She was going with some friends to get on a boat on Grayson Lake and just boat around, have a party, whatever, have fun. My sister is 19 years old, and her friends are all over 21 except for one of the boys that were on that boat. They had all gotten off in the water somewhere to use the bathroom. A few people stayed on the boat, but around 6 got off to use the bathroom, and she was one of them to get off.
So I didn't know there was 6 of them that got off the boat. They've only talked about her. So if 6 of them got off the boat, yeah, I mean, and then of course she didn't make it back because of whatever reasons, that could explain why maybe thinking that everybody was back. But very well said. Very well said.
And they had all gone back on and were driving away, and they realized that Marley was not on the boat. One of the girls said, "Where is Marley?" and realized she was not there.
Interesting, because reports tonight are that no one remembers anything that happened. That from our friend Will Lovely Y on TikTok. That is Willow, Marley's sister. How can someone disappear from a party boat with at least 10 people on it and nobody knows what happened? Joining us an all-star panel to make sense of what we are learning right now. But in the last hours, we learn the body of this young girl, after multiple days searching, has been found. Susan Hendricks joining us, investigative journalist, author of Down the Hill, My Descent into the Double Murder in Delphi. Susan, thank you for being with us tonight. First of all, just tell me about the discovery of the teen girl's body.
Yes, there had been searchers, Nancy, for several days using sonar, diving in that area. The bad weather kind of hindered that a bit, but they did discover, sadly, her body yesterday afternoon, Sunday, that is, around 3:45. So 5 days after she was reported missing. And sadly, we heard from her sister, the worst outcome she could imagine. But so many questions and a gap in the timeline. But I think to the pontoon boat, they don't go very fast. How did this happen? And will we find answers from the people on the boat?
A pontoon boat. Significant that the party boat we're talking about was a pontoon boat. Straight out to Ben Durbin joining us out of Virginia Beach,
go.
emergency response diving instructor,
This
police.
is the pontoon boat they're talking about right here. This is the pontoon boat. Normally you don't stray too far from the boat to go to the bathroom. You get off the boat, pee, and get right back on. I've done it many times. But that's thank you for that information, Joshua. That is the boat right there. Tushi says, yes, 1985, kind of like Judge Judy. All right, here we go.
Diver, emergency services diver. There's a big difference in a pontoon and a speedboat, which makes it even more difficult for me to believe, Ben Dobrin, that nobody knows what happened.
You're absolutely correct. A pontoon boat is a flat boat. It's great on lakes. Not known for their speed, just like you said, but you can put a lot of people on them. So if they had 10 people, like you said, they get crowded. That boat would get crowded with 10 people on it. And if somebody was standing on the bow there, looks open, if you hit the throttle, somebody could fall off. If somebody's behind, they could fall off. But, after a while, you should notice that somebody's missing. Even with 10 people, you're going to see it's not a huge area. You would see that somebody wasn't on that boat. So it's kind of concerning.
Dobrin, let's break it down. This is not a cigarette boat. Speeding through at 70 miles an hour. A pontoon is like...
It's a party boat. It's exactly what you said. It's a party boat. It's designed for you to kind of chug along at a nice speed with your friends. Some of them were having cocktails, obviously, including the driver was having cocktails. So it's a party bote. It is not a speed boat.
Why do you say it like that?
Having
cocktails. They were drunk, stinking, had a snootful, having cocktails. That brings to mind some elegant get-together in Manhattan, looking out over the city, having cocktails. BS, that is not what happened.
Well,
and how can nobody notice that she's missing? That's what I don't get. I got another question. Straight out to Dr. Kendall Crowns joining us, renowned medical examiner out of the Fort Worth morgue. That's Tarrant County. Never a lack of business in the Fort Worth morgue. He is the host of a hit podcast, Mayhem in the Morgue, and he is an esteemed lecturer at the Burnett School of Medicine at TCU. Dr. Kendall Crowns, her body had been in the water for days. What kind of evidence does that destroy?
So in
She's
individuals
very
in
rude,
water,
Carol, no
especially in the
doubt.
summertime, because the water gets warmer, they begin to decompose in a more rapid
Well, does
manner.
that
So
help?
after 4 days, she would definitely be in a
Teacher says I would
moderate to
think one of
severe
5 people would have
stage of
known what happened.
decomposition. She's going to have green
None of them are
discoloration,
talking.
skin
None of
slippage,
them are talking,
bloating
just
from
so you know.
decompositional gases.
Okay, slow
And
down,
then
slow
it will
down,
also
slow down. Dr. Kendall Crowns, okay. The rest of us are mere mortals. We're not esteemed lecturers at the Burnett School of Medicine. Can you go back and start with the word moderate? That's where you lost us.
Okay. So moderate stage of decomposition is when most people think of decomposed bodies. That's the stage where they get dark green to light green in color. The skin starts breaking down and sliding off. And they also begin to swell up with decomposition gases that gives you the smell that everybody equates to decomposition. Also during this time period, the internal organs are decomposing as well. So the more muscular or fibrous organs like the heart, the prostate, the uterus, they'll stay intact, but the more soft organs, especially ones with deep digestive enzymes like the pancreas, will all start to become liquefied. The spleen liquefies, the pancreas liquefies, etc. As far as injuries are concerned, you'll still be able to find gunshot wounds, stab wounds if she broke her neck. Any of those findings can be found. But the other thing that can occur in a water death is whatever is in the lake too will start consuming her. Turtles, and especially catfish. So they'll start chewing at the body, removing parts of the skin and things of that nature. The longer the body's in the water, the more destruction is done by the water creatures. Another thing that happens is there's a formation of a waxy soap-like substance called adipocere, and it's caused by bacterial action that takes the fat and forms like this waxy cast on the body as well. So you'll still be able to find injuries or signs of injuries, but there'll be a lot of things distorted by not only decomposition, but also fish and turtle scavenging.
I've been looking into getting a personal loan to pay off my credit cards, and I want to make sure I'm not making a mistake.
Straight out to Robin Dreek joining us, behavior expert, former FBI special agent. Let this sink in. Chief of the FBI Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program. Chief of the FBI Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program. Author of Sizing People Up, author of Unbreakable Alliances. You can find him at robin.dreek.com. Robin, I'm not buying what they're selling. How can there's at least 10 people on the party boat? A pontoon goes, 5 miles an hour? It barely goes. So they didn't notice she's missing. When I circle back to Dr. Kendall Crowns, I want to find out, can I still find bruises? Was her boyfriend on board? Did somebody punch her, hit her, throttle her? I don't know. Because somebody is not coming clean. You cannot have 10 people on the boat and not notice she's gone. That's BS. So if that premise is true, then ergo someone, if not more than one person, is lying. So I have to wonder, why is somebody lying?
Yeah, what's really curious here, there's a lot of things curious because we don't really know a whole lot yet. And we're looking for wobbles, we're looking for deviations from what we normally expect in a tragic situation like this. And to me right now, the silence is really deafening. We don't know what investigators have found, but having a bunch of young people not broadcasting out what happened on that boat is what's interesting. I'd be really curious right now about the last people that with her on shore, their relationships that they had with her. I'd be going through forensics, digital forensics, looking for unhealthy relationships and looking and seeing if I can identify someone with any anger issues, rage issues, because an organized assault on someone is very uncommon, but it might have been something that was more impromptu and opportunistic if it went down that road at all, because these things are tragic. And I think a lot of what we don't know is also because alcohol was the kerosene on the pit of stupid here, as always.
Robin Drake, I see a lot of inconsistent, no, not necessarily inconsistent, conflicting words in what you just said. Number one, young people. They're in their 20s. They're not 12, 13, 15, 17 even. They're in their 20s, mid-20s, with jobs and lives. They know better. Why is some person, in just one person, lying to me and to the public? Why? I have to figure out why, because it's never good. A cover-up means there's something to cover up. Now, interesting, you mentioned alcohol. Don't care. Alcohol is not a defense, period.
Never.
What I find really curious is when you said organized assault is rare. Bullies, frenemies, how many girls were on that boat that were jealous of her, that didn't like her? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that because they've all clammed up. But what do you mean by organized assault is rare?
Yeah, when you have a group of people, if you're going to intentionally do harm and pre-plan it, it doesn't happen with large groups of people, because if you're going to do something like that, you want to get away with it. And if the more witnesses you have, more people that you have to have on board to your plan, the more they fall apart, either before, during, and definitely after. And that's why we'll definitely get leakage if that was the plan. I'm more on if this was malintent, during this, if it went sideways somehow, there was going to be some sort of fight, disagreement, or there was some, like you said, frenemies or deep-seated unhealthy relationship going on there that they're going to really focus on when doing these investigation interviews. So that's why I say it like that, because an organized preemptive, assault on someone is very unlikely.
Also joining us tonight, Dr. Bethany Marshall, renowned psychoanalyst out of the LA jurisdiction. She's the author of Deal Breaker, and you can see her now on Bravo and Peacock. She is the star of a brand new podcast, On the Couch with Dr. Bethany Marshall. Dr. Bethany, I'm just trying to imagine what really happened on that party boat when this young girl went overboard and nobody noticed. I find it compared to what Robin Drake just said, and I'm not disagreeing with him.
Well said,
I'm
Deb.
just analyzing what he said, that when you have an organized assault on someone, you worry about keeping it a secret. I don't think when people commit a crime that they're worried about getting caught. They're not thinking about the implications a day after, a week after, a month after. I think they act in the moment, such as girls ganging up on someone, a guy roughhousing or angry at her, pushing her over, a group picking on her, bullying her, and then she ends up overboard somehow and nobody does anything. I could see that happening.
Thumbs up,
and
everybody.
The reason we're having to spin out every scenario is because everyone has clammed up.
We know, Nancy, it's quite a large group for an organized assault. Remember Shanquilla Robinson? She was lured down to Mexico and then assaulted by several friends. What was interesting in that case is there was the deafening silence that Robin Drake just referred to. Nobody talked. Nobody called the mother. There was just, everybody just went into hiding. One of the perpetrators ran to his mother's house. So in this case, I think we human beings, we want to talk and we're extraordinarily curious and we love to solve mysteries. That's part of the human nature. So if in truth she went missing and absolutely nobody noticed it, those people who are on the boat are going to start talking to their mothers, their sisters, their schoolmates, spinning out theories. And then those people who have theories are going to talk to other people who have theories. And there's going to be these huge urban myths. And as Robin Drake talked about, a large forensic digital footprint. But there seems to be nothing. I was following the chatter online, and the only thing I could find was some rumor that her ex-boyfriend was on the boat with a new girlfriend. That's an unsubstantiated rumor, but the fact that that's all I could find tells me that everybody on that boat is colluding in some way. What is the collusion about? We can't know. But like you said, we have to follow every thread. Is the collusion that everybody was on mushrooms? They don't want their parents to find out, or their employer. Is the collusion that the girls got into a fight? Is the collusion that,
I am a snotty
somebody
friend.
knocked
I
her
try to
over the
avoid bringing down my
overboard and
can.
she was unconscious and
Those
everybody
should have
panicked and left?
been the ones
But
that
I do
left.
believe there's not an organized assault, but there is a collusion. It's a little less nefarious, but it is that, again, that deafening silence that Robin referred to that makes me the most suspicious.
Straight out to Sky Lazaro joining us, veteran criminal defense attorney. She works in both state and federal cases with Ray Quinney and Nebuchadnezzar. Sky, thank you for being with us. Now, you just heard Dr. Bethany Marshall parse words, split hairs, saying that it could have been a group thing, but not a collusion. Collusion doesn't take any serious period of time. They basically have to be in the act together, either bullying her, pushing her around. It can be one person, two people, three people, and then suddenly she's overboard and no one wants to rat out the other. So what do you think about the possibility that these at least 10 people are going to assert the Fifth Amendment and continue to clam up and not say anything?
I think at some point somebody will say something. Somebody's attorney is going to go get them a deal or something. And this really could have been an accident. The fact that nobody's talking does not mean that something bad happened or some intentional crime. I mean, we don't know enough.
If it were truly an accident, don't you think they would be telling what happened? Here's a great example. In the case of Alex Murdaugh, his son, Paul, had been BUI, boating under the influence, just really drunk. People were begging him to get away from behind the wheel. He wouldn't do it. Instead, he crashed into cement pylons under a bridge. I went and looked at them myself. They're deadly looking, just huge cement chunks. I mean, really big, 6 to 12 feet each, sticking up, jutting up out of the water. You can't miss them. He ran straight into those, and 19-year-old Mallory Beach goes flying off the boat. Well, even though Alex Murdaugh went to the hospital to speak to all the witnesses, telling them to lay low and he would represent them as if they had done something wrong, they told what happened almost immediately. That's not happening here. They're not talking. If it had truly been an accident, don't you think they would be saying that?
Maybe, maybe not. I still think we need to know how she died. I mean, whether it was an accident or not, it still could be a crime. We know the guy driving the boat was drinking. He admitted it, that part at least. So, I mean, there could have been an accident. She could have gotten hit by the boat. Everybody could have panicked. I don't think it's that uncommon to see young adults who are already doing something they shouldn't be doing panic in a situation where something unintentional happens.
Okay, the way you just spun that out means everything was just a big accident.
Do you want to know how people are making
Welcome
$2,000 a
in,
month from
Marianne.
rental properties
Welcome
they
in.
don't own, don't rent, and have never?
If it were an accident, somebody would be talking.
So they tried to circle back to where they thought they last saw her and had asked other boats around if they had seen a girl, and no one has seen her. And when they got back to around where they thought the location was, she was nowhere to be found. They told me that they were screaming for her, yelling for her. They had looked for her. There is a few conflicting stories, but that I don't even care about that right now.
That from Will Lovely Y on TikTok, that is her sister. She may not be worried, Robin Dreek, about conflicting statements, but I am. When I hear conflicting statements, there's a problem, there's a lie. Now, when you have a witness add on or embellish, that doesn't bother me. I really blame that on the questioner because they're not asking the right questions and getting the full story. So the person has to add on. But when I get a conflicting statement, somebody is lying. You can't really claim they had a different vantage point. They're all on a boat together. It's not that big. So why conflicting statements? And did you catch what the sister just said? They tried to circle back where they thought they last saw
Hello, Marianne.
her,
Welcome in.
which totally rules out what Sky Lazaro just said, which was to the effect she fell off and they were circling back and maybe they ran over her or the boat hit her like it's the boat's fault. No, they said they circled back to where they thought they last saw her. In other words, they didn't notice she was gone. That's BS. They asked other boats, had they seen the girl? Nobody said that they had seen her. They were trying to find her, quote, last location. This is not fitting.
Now I stopped because I want to add something too here. So there was another boat that was in the area, and it was a family, and they said they were next to them when they were over there by that rock known as Sex Rock, that they were by there with, that they were by there next to them. So there was, I would think, at least one boat out there, because they did say another family said that they were out there when they saw this pontoon boat of these kids, jumping off the rock into the water. So there was another boat out there for sure. I'm sure there was probably several, but that's the only one that came out and said, yeah, we saw that pontoon boat out there. We were right next to them. Just wanted to throw that in there for whatever it's worth.
Together, Dreek.
Yeah, the more we're looking at this, and especially since, we keep talking about, you got 10 people that are being silent right now. So they have a fear, and that's what deception is. There's a fear of sharing truth. There's a fear in sharing your agenda. And when you have collective 10 people fearing to share that and interspersed with conflicting reports, that is interesting and troubling, especially when the only person talking is the one not on the boat, the sister. So she seems completely free to talk. And so it's not like law enforcement came in and said don't share anything, because she apparently feels free to share. I'm definitely skeptical about why they're not sharing. There's something hidden right there. Now, whether it's nefarious or not, we don't know yet, because investigators will find that out. But there's definitely something hidden that they don't feel safe in sharing.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. In today's uncertain economy, families truly need a way out of the high interest trap.
Be online.
Call American Financing, 866-888-0344, 866-888-0344, or just...
This is a photo from the day of. I know it says 2025. Just to clarify, my sister does not know how to change the dates on a camera, and her camera was only set in the wrong day. So it says 2025 in December, which you also can tell that it is not December in the background of this, so it's definitely the wrong date. And she just got this camera, and that was the exact swimsuit that she was wearing that day. And that is one of the girls she has gone with.
That does look like the swimsuit she was wearing.
The date is wrong.
Mallory
the times on it are correct though. This one was around 2-something p.m.
Here's the individual wood at some point on a pontoon boat, and then later throughout that day it was identified that they were no longer on the boat.
No offense, but Lieutenant Chris Mulholland with the Fish and Wildlife Division just said a whole lot of nothing. That's from our friends at WSAZ, and earlier again from the sister Willow at Will Lovely Y TikTok. Okay, did you hear what he just said, Ben Dobrin? Ben Dobrin with me out of Virginia Beach, emergency response diving instructor, and a lot more. Listen to this. It appears the individual was at some point on a pontoon boat. And then later, throughout that day, it was identified that they were not on it, no longer on the boat. What is he saying? It's just a word salad.
Yeah.
I agree with you. He's not saying anything. Time. Basically, yes, she was on the boat at one point, and then she wasn't on the boat at another point. What transpired between those 2 points, he's not saying, and I don't know at this point if anybody knows what transpired between those. Yes, we know she was on the boat. We saw pictures of her on the boat. Everybody agreed she was on the boat. And then obviously she wasn't on the boat anymore, and her body was discovered 4 days later. So what happened between being on the boat and those 4 days later when they found her body? That's obviously the big question right now.
I just found out that if you have 2 cars on your car insurance, this is 100% what you should be doing. So I found this website and look at the difference. $159 a month. I thought this was the best price I could find. Don't even look.
Susan Hendricks joining us, investigative journalist and author of Down the Hill. Susan, I wonder why this area is named Sex Rock. That's a whole nother can of worms. But did you hear Mulholland? Maybe he's giving me a word salad because
Not
that's
sure,
all
Norma. I'm
he's
not really
been
sure if they
given.
all been questioned.
Did
I
you
would
hear?
assume they
Let's
would
hear
have
that one
been,
more time, please. This is
but they're
Lieutenant
all
Chris Mulholland
saying
from
not
Fish
a
and
whole
Wildlife.
heck of a lot, to be
There's
honest,
an
from what I've
individual
read.
wood at some point on a pontoon boat, and then later throughout that day it was identified that they were no longer
Just
on the
whatever
boat.
they
Susan,
put on
I'm
there.
not necessarily blaming Mulholland. That's from our friends at WSAZ, by the way. That may be all they have gotten out of the witnesses. So he's ambushed probably in that parking lot. It looked like a boat ramp area. What do you know? What do you know? And that's all he knows because that's all they're telling him.
Yeah. It seems like a formal way, Nancy, of saying, I don't know. And clearly the answers will come from those on the boat. According to Marley's sister, Willow, everyone on that boat was over 21 except one other boy under the age of 21. But she did say this, it stood out to me. There was a female teacher on that boat, and she wasn't quite sure. She said either in her 30s or 40s. Was there a ringleader there who's bringing the story together is what I'm wondering. And did the authorities separate them and get various stories?
Very good
or
point, everybody.
Are they just home right now? Because you're right. That age, they're
Very good
online.
point.
We would hear from someone to say, hey, I was on that boat. I'm so sad. We didn't notice she
Were
was
they
gone or what have you.
separated?
But they would be online if they weren't all just keeping the story to themselves.
Just as an aside to Susan Hendricks, investigative journalist, Susan, why is it called Sex Rock?
Well, I don't advise Googling it because I did. And what I found was it's only known of that name to locals. And I think it's self-explanatory that kids go up there and maybe there's a hidden part, speculation, but I tried to find it. Only known by locals is that name. But if you look at the rock, it looks like a phallic symbol, maybe. Speculation on the rock. I don't know the origin of who started that, but apparently it's called that.
Back to you, Robin Dreek. You recall when Natalie Holloway went missing, she was taken by Jorn Vandersloot and the Calpo brothers. And when her friends there at Carlos and Charlie's were asked, they said, yes, we were there with her and she left without us. They knew exactly what happened. Here, nobody
sure,
will state
Joshua. Good
exactly
point.
what happened.
Very
And
good
you
point.
heard Susan Hendricks just state there was a female teacher on the pontoon. Why isn't she coming forward and stating what happened?
Yeah, Susan's insight on that was really interesting to me. I actually wrote it down right there too, because that would start explaining, if true, why there's a hidden agenda, why someone's fearing sharing. What there may be a ringleader in here. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean that they all assaulted her and did something nefarious.
Okay, so I got a question, everybody. You're a teacher of 30 to 40 years of age. I think that's kind of like in the middle of your career as far as a teacher, like that's not like in your 20s, but yet that's about a right fit, 30 to 40 years. How could a teacher who's supposed to be very observant, whether she's a teacher for little kids, older kids, junior high, high school, how can a teacher not be observant to just come natural to like almost be that watchful person? Not blaming her, don't misunderstand me. I'm just saying a teacher usually keeps an eye on everything that's going on. Why? Because they're used to it. It's what they do in school. It's what they do, depending on what she teaches. Wouldn't it make sense that she would be a little bit more vigilant than the others? I'm just saying, I'm asking that question because to me, it's like if you normally watch people, kids, young kids, middle age, high school, middle school, junior high, whatever, you're always in that frame of mind, right? As a teacher. So how would that not just come natural for her? And if it did come natural, why didn't she see anything? Why did she notice something out of the odd norm? Not blaming her, just saying you would think it would have came more easily to her to see everybody because that's just her profession and her job. She keeps an eye on the students. She watches the students, right? I mean, this just goes with the territory. So I would think if she was a teacher for 30 to 40-year-old teacher, 30 to 40-year-old, you would think she would have kept more eyes on them just because she was probably used to doing it is why I'm saying. Just an observation. I don't think she had a kid on the boat. I mean, they said there was only two 19-year-olds, and that was McKinney, the young girl, Mallory, and then there was a boy that was also 19. And after that, everybody was above 21. So that could kind of fluctuate, right? And maybe this teacher knew the older kids that were on the boat because maybe she had them or something in her class. Maybe she liked them. Maybe she connected with them. But just the idea, you would think she would be more visual, she would be more vigilant to see what's happening, because it would just come natural. Then again, we know alcohol was present, so maybe that impaired a lot of these people not to see what the hell was going on. But I find it kind of odd because if you had said someone like this person was whatever, worked at a restaurant, worked at a bakery, or worked at whatever, you don't tend to keep like they remember because they see so many people, they don't remember a lot of everything's repetitious. But for her, it had to come normal, you would think. Once again, just my opinion. All right, let's get back to it.
Areas to the poor girl that died, but maybe she fearing for her job. In other words, like we said before, there's a hidden agenda that people don't feel safe sharing. And for some reason, if the teacher's involved, she might be the ringleader in keeping everyone silent because maybe she fears for her job or maybe she organized. Who knows? But there's a lot of areas that need to be explored investigatively, no doubt. And I think there'll be a digital footprint and digital trail in this at some point, at least.
Okay,
and
hold on. Robin Dreek, that's really important. Explain how valuable a digital trail would be and exactly what are you talking about?
Yeah, well, part of the investigation is they're going to get subpoenas and they're going to go through everyone's cell phones. They're going to be looking at text messaging. They're going to be looking at all the social media sites that all these people are on, and they're going to start seeing and identifying relationships. And most importantly, they're going to start identifying unhealthy relationships. They're going to start identifying priorities of all these people, hidden priorities and agendas that they may or may not have. And then when you start getting at least 1 degree of separation away from the individual themselves, you're going to start getting some real truth going on behind what's going on in these people's lives. And so that's, as an investigator, is what creates your filters and where to focus on. And right now, if true, the teacher at the forefront of this, if there's a teacher on board, they're going to be looking at her, especially if there's a position of authority or implied authority that she might have control. And so again, they'll be able to identify that either verbally through the interviews or.
So one of the good points that this individual has, this FBI, is that, yeah, they're going to look at everybody's phone. They are going to see if they're going to use the digital forensics to put back all the things that were erased. to be able to get back. If they do a fairly good job, that's what they'll do. And they'll go back and see who's saying what and what were they talking about. And after the incident, they'll go back and look at the text messages and see if there was anything that was being discussed, anything that was having, you got to remember, these individuals have been drinking. So in my mind, they're not in their right mind. You follow me? So they're going to be doing things spontaneous on the fly. They're going to be doing things just on the fly, not thinking about down the road because they've been drinking. So there may be some information that they'll be able to pull from their phones, their accounts, anything that could open a door as to how no one's seen this young lady not on the boat. Or if there in fact was something nefarious. We don't know, but I guarantee you, if the FBI, or in this case, it's probably just your police, your park ranger police or whatnot that are doing the investigation, they're probably looking at that. That's going to be something they would look at to make sure they got every base, every dot dotted, and every T crossed. That's usually typical. Once again, the investigation is only as good as your investigator. Okay? So if the investigator handling this case doesn't put out that effort, then yes, it's not going to be everything's not going to all come out. But if he puts his investigation and uses all the tools at his disposal, absolutely they will know if there was anything deleted, kind of like in the same thing as the case with Nolan Wells. You will see a lot of that information. Just wanted to throw that out for you.
Go through the forensics on the digitals.
K-12 lets kids learn.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. Please join us on Crime Stories and stream it first. Investigators, experts, and sources from within the case itself. Stay on top of the nation's biggest trials with us, including gavel-to-gavel coverage with real-time analysis. Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. Stream it first on Fox 1. I hope to see you there, and thank you, friend. Sky Lazaro, the driver of the boat, has been charged with BUI, boating under the influence. He was breathalyzed at about 0.08, Cameron Conley. But, Sky Lazaro, a death occurred during the commission of his BUI.
Not yet, Norma. The only thing I found out new was about the teacher. I had heard about the teacher.
I think there is a strong potential for that, if not some sort of negligent homicide or something along those lines, depending on what state you're in and how they prosecute these. But he certainly wouldn't be the first person who was charged criminally for something that was an accident. And I know we've disagreed on this, but even best case scenario, this really was an accident. He still could be criminally liable just because of the fact that he was under the influence when he was operating that boat.
Susan Hendricks, tell me what else you know, if anything, regarding an adult female teacher on board.
So you can assure yourself that if the family wants to do something legality against the person who was in charge of the boat, as they call him, the captain, and that is Cameron Conley, you can assure yourself there's going to be literally something civilly filed unless the family of McKinney knows who this family of this individual is, right? If they're friends or something, that's one thing. But if there's not, you can assure yourself there's going to be some liability held accountable, because that's exactly what she is saying. Yeah, the driver does look like he's a little bit older, but once again, yeah, they're definitely going to look at that without a doubt. Can someone let Chris know that went ahead and I sent the link to him, please? All right, here we go.
Did the teacher have a husband? Did the teacher have an adult boyfriend? Who is this group?
Right. It does seem a little strange to me.
And I know we've disagreed on this, but even best case scenario, this really was an accident. He still could be criminally liable just because of the fact that he was under the influence when he was operating that boat.
Yep.
Susan Hendricks, tell me what else you know, if anything, regarding an adult female teacher on board. Did the teacher have a husband? Did the teacher have an adult boyfriend? Who is this group?
Right. It does seem a little strange to me. And I'm wondering, Robin may know this, the more people on the boat, does that make it so that if she is missing, it's less obvious? I'm trying to fill in the blanks here. All I know is it was a teacher. Immediately, I thought male. But as I listened more to Willow, she said no, female. But it was not clear to her. She said 30s, 40s. Maybe when you're that young, you think that, I don't know, they're just older. So that teacher was on board, she said. She also said this, that her sister Marley didn't know the lake that well. So I wondered, how often was she out there? Was she invited? Because she also mentioned co-workers on that boat. What is the relationship to Marley?
Wait. Who had co-workers on the boat?
Jacqueline, welcome in.
According to Willow, it was co-workers of Marley's.
You too. Chris is in the house.
You didn't even welcome me in.
Ice house here in this TikTok. So I'm wondering, was she excited to be invited? Were they all really just acquaintances? All you need, I'm thinking, is on board, she said. She also said this, that her sister Marley
could be criminally liable.
Sorry, guys. I want to let you all know I had to stop it there just to let you know that Chris is in the house.
That's right.
Chris is in the house.
I couldn't take it anymore. I had to come on and save this live. You know what I'm saying? I had to come
Hello,
on.
Jacqueline. Welcome in. I had to make sure.
Live.
So I didn't want anybody to miss anything.
No, definitely not.
How was your time up in the beach?
Oh, it was great. It was great.
You would think you'd be out there more often.
Well, we're busy over here. You know?
we're busy.
We are busy. So
understand. Glad you had a good time, my friend.
Yeah, now I'm at work. Oh, how exciting. I wish I knew what the hell I was doing on this damn phone, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, just listen then.
Awesome.
Here we go, everybody.
Well, all right.
Chris doesn't know what he's doing right now.
I do now.
Okay, here we go. We're going to go ahead and play it.
Whoopee.
Just because of the fact that he was under the influence when he was operating that boat.
Susan Hendricks, tell me what else you know, if anything, regarding an adult female teacher on board. Did the teacher have a husband? Did the teacher have an adult boyfriend? Who is this group?
Right. It does seem a little strange to me.
Norma.
And I'm
Guaranteed.
Wondering, Robin may know this, the more people on the boat, does that make it so that if she is missing, it's less obvious? I'm trying to fill in the blanks here. All I know is it was a teacher. Immediately, I thought male. But as I listened more to Willow, she said no, female. But it was not clear to her. She said 30s, 40s. Maybe when you're that young, you think that,
you're welcome.
I don't know, they're just older. So that teacher was on board, she said. She also said this, that her sister Marley didn't know the lake that well. So I wondered, how often was she out there? Was she invited? Because she also mentioned co-workers on that boat. What is the relationship to Marley?
Wait. Who had co-workers on the boat?
According to Willow, it was co-workers of Marley's. She worked at a restaurant, Smoking J Ribs and Ice House. You see here in this
correct.
TikTok. So I'm wondering, was she excited to be invited? Were they all really just acquaintances? All you need, I'm thinking back to when I was that age, is one close friend to say, hey, wait a minute, we're leaving without my friend. It appears no one said that.
Nobody said a word. Back to you, Dr. Bethany Marshall. An adult, of course, they're all adults, right? Most of them. You've got a 23-year-old boat.
So think about that. And I did read that. I had it in my notes right here in my notes. That was another thing that was brought up, that she worked in those 2 restaurants and that some of her co-workers were there as well. So you would think they knew of her. They would have known her. Was there some jealousy? Was there some nefarious thing going on? Not sure. The amount of people on the boat keeps getting bigger, right? And the acquaintance of people on that boat with the ex-boyfriend, the boyfriend, the teacher, 30 to 40-year-old teacher, hanging around with, I'm going to say, anywhere from 21 and up, minus the boy and McKinney. This is like, you start seeing that snowball. They're all saying what not to say. They're all keeping quiet. They're all not really saying anything. And look, like her or hate her, hate's a kind of a harsh word, like her or dislike her, and Nancy Grace, she is asking the right questions. If the chief or lieutenant who is doing this investigation is not asking those right questions, okay, if that person is not asking those right questions, then yes, they're never going to know what the truth is because they're not asking the right questions. And I know to a lot of people, it's simplicity, right? You ask the simple questions, but there's more in it than just ask the simple questions. It's about literally interviewing everybody like they are all people of interest. You know why? Because they all are people of interest. You know why? Because they were all on the boat. So they are all, and the boat is only so big, right? So wide, right? So it's not like, you have a whole island. You have a boat, a pontoon boat. There's not a whole lot of places to hide on that boat, yet alone have a secretly conversation. So, yes, I can see why Nancy Grace is saying this, why she's asking, well, if you never ask the right questions, you're not going to get the truth on this case. And that is true. You got to ask the right questions. Was there anybody that ever went ahead and said anything about her? Was there anybody that didn't like her on this pontoon boat? Have you ever heard of anybody saying anything about wanting to hurt this person? Now, I know those sounds like serious questions, but it's because this is a serious situation. We have a 19-year-old who went unalive. So you got to ask those questions. Mrs. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so of 20 to 30 to 40 years old. What made you come on the boat? What was your whole purpose? What was the whole idea? Do you normally do this with prior students or people that you just know? Maybe you just knew them. These questions will be asked, and they need to be asked. Can't say they will be asked because we don't know that. But this is why you hear Nancy Grace coming back. You got to remember, she used to be literally a prosecutor. So she is prosecuting this case how she would see it. Like her or dislike her, she's asking the right questions. And when she does, if you notice, her guests that she has are all answering those questions because they know where she's going. You follow me? It's very telling. As hard as those questions are to ask, you have to ask those tough questions. Make no mistake. Everybody on this boat is a person of interest. That just means to me that everybody needs to be treated as a person of interest, a person who could know something that's not saying the truth on what they know. It's a possibility. All right. Just want to share that with you all.
Driver and operator of the boat. You've got a female teacher. Did she have a boyfriend or husband with her? You've got co-workers. Nobody said anything. How do I know some of the girls didn't gang up on her, push her overboard as a joke? How do I know she didn't have a spat with a guy and he hit her or pushed her? Nobody's talking, Dr. Bethany Marshall. Why?
Nobody's talking, and people want to talk. Nancy, essentially, we human beings are caring, loving, and we value our attachment system. So when somebody disappears or go overboard, that's all we can think about. That's all we want to talk about to our families, our friends,
Miss Barney.
anyone who will hear and listen. And in this case,
She did have a
nobody
boyfriend, they said,
is
on the
talking.
boat,
It is so
and an
strange.
ex-boyfriend.
My theory about the teacher, Nancy, good teachers are authoritative in a positive and beneficial way. In other words, if somebody went missing, the teacher would organize the group, go back to shore, call the authorities, and make sure everybody's okay. But why did a teacher not step forward? Why did she not step into the gap and say, hey, guys, kids, we need to do something about this? Nancy, you and I have probably been Sunday school teachers, camp counselors. Even if there's an age gap of a few years, the person who's a little bit older wants to take charge of the situation. And this teacher did not do that.
Dr. Kendall Crowns joining us, renowned medical examiner of Tarrant County and star of Mayhem in the Morgue podcast. Dr. Kendall Crowns, would bruises still be apparent on her body after that many days? And why didn't her body float to the surface?
So often when someone drowns, they lose all the oxygen from their body and they inhale water. And that water coming in then makes them less buoyant and they kind of sink to the bottom of the river or lake or whatever they're in. And they don't usually bob back up until the decomposition process has been going on long enough that the body swells from the decomposition
Very well
gases,
said, Dennis. Very
and
well
then they
said.
float to the surface like a bobber. As far as bruises are concerned, yes, you would still be able to see bruising. It is often obscured by the decomposition process, the greenish discoloration, the lividity can make it look like there are bruises that aren't bruises, or it can make bruises themselves not look normally. And usually what you do is you cut into these areas while you're doing the autopsy and look for hemorrhage in the fat or the subcutaneous tissue to show that it was actually a bruise. So you can still find them. It just takes a little more effort.
Her sister did check her Life 360, and it was confirmed that her phone and her belongings were left on that boat when she got off to use the restroom. It's also a disputed fact of where she or how she went to the bathroom. Did she jump off the boat and use the restroom in the water, or did she get off and use it on a side of one of the rural areas?
So that's a very good point, and I did not hear this. Okay, so that's why I stopped it. I did not hear this piece that what this lady had just covered about literally McKinney, Mallory, did she go off the boat just to the side? Did she go all the way in, etc.? The things that she put out here is very interesting because I'll be honest, I didn't even think of this. Let's see.
It was confirmed that her phone and her belongings were left on that boat.
So her sister goes ahead. Her sister, Willow, checks her phone on the Live 360 and says that the phone and her belongings we can understand, and her phones we can understand. I guess the point is her sister did use the restroom because it did show the separation of her sister going off the side of the boat. I say the side, I don't know what side, but went off the boat to go ahead and urinate. Okay, so that is huge because the theory that maybe something could have happened to her, kind of like in the Wells case on the boat, well, it shows that literally she went off the boat. Doesn't say how she got off the boat. Just says she went off the boat and her phone was still on the boat at the time. Makes sense. Makes sense. But you have to look at all the nuances in that comment. Well said. Well said. All right.
When she got off to use the restroom. It's also a disputed fact of where she or how she went to the bathroom. Did she jump off the boat and use the restroom in the water, or did she get off and use it on a side of one of the rural areas?
So I will say that reading this case, it was said, and I have to go back on my notes, but I believe it was said that she went on the side of the boat to get off the boat and into the water. It wasn't like the rear or the stern or whatever in the hell they call that, the front or the back. It was on the side that she actually got out. And I'm almost positive, don't quote me on it, but I'm almost positive because I think I read that when we first aired this case a while back. We first aired this case a while back, and I talked about that. I believe they said she went to the side of the boat. Could be wrong, but I think that's what it was. Dog, I promise to be as kind as I can. I'm not sure I have something to mention. It could upset some people, but dare I be honest, dog, other mods. Well, let's hear it. Let's hear it, Miss Barney. Let's hear what you got to say, Marianne. Or I'm sorry, Miss Barney. Let's hear what you got to say. Hello, Marianne. That's very possible. Very possible, Barney. Barney states Marley's pics show that she may be coming off as sexy and drew in the wrong someone. That is true. It's ironic that those are the pictures that they kept showing when they were showing her. You're right. That's very, very, very good point, without a doubt. I don't see nothing wrong with that assessment, to be honest, Miss Barney. OLED, Miss Barney, I know exactly what you mean. I totally agree. And even when this case is being talked about right now, you're seeing where that seems to be the pictures that they're showing, right? I totally agree with you, 100%. All right, here we go, everybody. Welcome in, Annie. Barney, I agree. Well said, Barney. Well said. Okay, let's get back.
So that would be a big difference.
Okay, I got a big problem now. That is from the Marissa Gold on TikTok. Robin Drake, behavior expert, former FBI special agent, chief of the FBI Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, and author. Now we don't know whether she jumped off the boat to urinate in the water or whether they dropped her off at the shore at an inlet. That's bad. That's a bigger lie that we can't even get the answer to that simple query.
Yeah. the revelations of older adults being on this boat and there being silence is becoming more and more
Very
concerning as
possible,
I'm
Barney.
listening to
Very
this,
well
because
said. Very
to me, it
possible.
rings of
Without a
ringleader,
doubt.
like
Good
you said
point.
earlier. And that's why we're not having any leakage right now. But I'm pretty confident, though, when people don't like being silenced. You know, as the good doctor was saying earlier, we want to share. We want to rationalize our behavior. We want to be accepted, and we want to have, be seen and heard for our thoughts, opinions, and what happened in tragic situations like this. And if someone gave us instructions, even in a short term where there's an assumed authority position,
No problem,
like
Marianne.
a position of a teacher, that's going to erode extremely rapidly over the coming days, because they're going to feel disenfranchised. They're going to feel like they weren't heard. They're going to feel like the truth isn't out there, because the likelihood of everyone conspiring together, as we've all said before, against her is slim to none. That's why I think we're going to start getting some more accurate details about what actually came out.
Why does music only have 12 notes? I mean, think about it. Every song you've ever heard only has 12.
Hi, guys. American homeowners, a fraud called Title. Nancy at Home Title Lock. Protect your home equity today. That's Home Title. If you know or think you know anything about the disappearance and now the discovery of the body of this young girl, please dial 606-928-6421, 606-928-6421. We remember an American hero, Officer Joey Vincent, Greenville PD, Kentucky, just 30 years old, shot in the line of duty after serving 8 years, leaving behind his little girl, Brooklyn. American hero, Officer Joey Vincent. Thank you to our guests, but especially to you for being with us tonight.
So there you go. So yeah, that's a good point. I mean, look, when you think there's nothing that could go literally wrong, that's when something goes wrong. When you let your guards down, that is what literally happens. So they have to look at this case as, you always look at it from the worst case scenario, bring it back in, and then go ahead and process it out. Okay, so that's one of the things that literally, that's what good law enforcement does, good investigation does. All right. And that's really where we're at this point. Go ahead, Marianne, share it. Go ahead and share. What other news you have? Oh, I bet, April. No doubt, I bet. If Marley worked in a restaurant, I am sure other people probably had their eye on her. Probably, Barney. You're probably right. That would be a fair assessment, a fair analysis on that, without a doubt. I don't know really what to think. We covered this case probably within the very first few days that it came out. We covered it, and the whole time I've been waiting for is the toxicology report. I also been waiting for the autopsy so that we could follow up on it. And this is kind of in the similar time frame as the Alina Moore case from South Carolina. If you guys remember Alina Moore. So I wanted to cover this so that way we're more familiar with it, because I got a feeling that toxicology report has got to come out any time, or that autopsy has got to be released. You got to remember that's public record. So they will probably release it at any moment. And that's what I'm waiting for. So that's why I wanted to kind of rehash this case. But some of the information that we found out on this case has been new. Like the teacher. I don't ever remember ever reading about the teacher until today when I was going over the storyline again. I don't ever remember hearing anything from the sister, in this case, Willow. I don't ever remember hearing about the possibilities, and who said what and what was said. We didn't have those little nuances. We had just the basic, because that's all we had at the very beginning was just the basic. Norma says she was a beautiful young woman. I can see others were jealous on her, praying the truth will come out without a doubt. But that's the whole thing about it. We didn't have a lot of information, and there was some new. That's why I brought it up. And then of course the new information of the captain of the boat, Cameron Conley, and he pleaded guilty so that he didn't have to try to fight it and ended up getting worse charges. So that's another thing. So the idea is literally that we have that opportunity to go ahead and figure this out. And I know that story is going to be broken here as far as the information that we're waiting for. Anything, Chris, your thoughts? I know you got here a little late. But that is very true, April. I can only imagine, without a doubt. Barney, if Marley worked at a restaurant, other people probably had their eye on her. That is correct. Marianne, the guy that they arrested with arson was arrested for unaliving someone in Arizona years ago. Years ago.
Where'd you go?
Where'd you go? Nice try.
I couldn't hear anymore.
No, I just asked if you had any take on this.
I don't, because I really never dove into it that much. I didn't know it was going to turn out to be such a cluster. I figured
We're
it was
starting
going
to see that way.
Just, what's same as all the others. Add her in.
Well, the idea that you had a 30 to 40-year-old teacher, female, that was on the boat.
Right.
And the idea that my observation of that was you would think that she would be very vigilant because she watches kids at her, whatever she teaches, right? She's got to keep an eye on these kids. So you would think that there would be some type of vigilance going on. It is odd. Now, granted, everybody's been drinking, so that kind of, makes anything a probability. Right. But the idea that she wouldn't be on her game surprises me. It really does.
Yeah. See, lost it again.
And I'm not saying that it's that she has anything to do with anything. I'm just saying, as someone who normally would come naturally to think of the surroundings and the people on the boat,
right?
They were all in their 2 19-year-olds, McKinney and another boy was 19. Everybody else was over 21. So the idea,
the driver wasn't. That's the other kid.
The driver was 23. Yeah.
Was he?
Cameron Connolly was 23.
Okay. They arrested him for OUI. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And the only two that were under was McKinney and this other boy. Everybody else was 21 or older.
Okay.
But you would think that the lady, as a teacher, would be more vigilant. I find that really shocking that all of them, I don't want to say all of them are pleading amnesia, but from what I read, it appeared to me that they were not remembering a lot, what makes it suspicious in itself.
Right. Yeah, it's very odd. Because I know, the only thing I know really about it is that there was an ex-boyfriend on the boat of hers with his new girlfriend.
Correct.
That's really all I knew. And then the operator of the boat, and then I knew there was I thought I heard there was a couple of adults on the boat, like,
Yeah,
over the
older.
age of 25.
And they really could have been another 30-some 40-year-old. It
Right.
would be odd that there was only a 30 to 40-year-old woman who was a teacher and not anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've seen crazier things than that. So that's putting it mildly. But yeah, I think really that there's a lot of literally reasons to ask the question when no one out of possibly 10 people on that boat, and that boat is a pontoon boat that travels very slow according to the people
Yeah, I
that
mean
were on.
they can pick up a little speed, but not much.
So
I mean, they can go.
to not hear somebody hollering, "Hey, wait for me," or to not hear somebody, "Hey, I'm right here." Everybody got on but her.
But
Makes me
everybody
wonder.
was already on, though.
Well, they said 6 people came off to go pee.
Well, I didn't hear that.
I didn't either until just now.
I didn't hear that. I heard that she jumped off.
No, 6 people went off at one time to go use the restroom.
Was this an accident?
Well, that's my point. I don't know, but you would think that if 6 people went off the boat, because I always thought it was just her, but today they were talking and said no, there were 6 people that went off the boat to go relieve themselves, and the idea was, well, 5 came back, 1 didn't. Like
I guess the problem there is did they notice she didn't get back on, till a little bit after, and then said, "Oh shit, where is she?" and she drowned.
Well, they said that they didn't realize she was gone or not on the boat for 2 to 3 hours.
Now that is a little strange.
And 2 to 3 hours is what they said, and then they went back looking for her, trying to backtrack, and they couldn't find her. And then that's when Cameron Conley ended up calling the authorities. And then,
So
of course,
it's
when he got
iffy.
there, that's when they could smell the alcohol on him.
Yeah. So it's iffy. So it could be an accident, a horrible, horrible accident, or there's a little bit of foul play. But I
With
don't
that
know.
many
It's
people,
weird.
I mean, somebody said it on here, and it was very true. To have 10 people on a boat and try to be like everybody on one doesn't really make sense, But then I asked myself when I heard just a little bit ago, when I heard about 6 people getting off the boat, what if 5 of them were girls that didn't like her because she had people she worked with? Now everybody had nothing but positive to say about her.
Right.
But really, when someone goes missing or someone becomes unalive, whoever says anything bad about the person, right?
Right.
No
She was
one
a
ever
bitch.
says.
I didn't like her.
No one says anything bad about
I'd
the
like to
person when
punch
they
her right
become
in her mouth.
unalive or
Well, hey,
go missing or
come-
whatever.
I know, right? Come with us for a second.
So did they dunk
I
her?
don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
I mean,
But
that's I don't know, man. I mean,
very interesting.
The freaking teachers or whoever the adults were on the boat didn't notice. So you're saying that you guys didn't notice she wasn't on the boat for 3 hours?
2 to 3 hours is what they're saying.
Come on now. Nobody said, "Where is she?" Hey.
And her sister Willow came out and said a little bit of stuff, but she said she don't remember her sister Marley being familiar with that area. So she wasn't familiar with that area, according to her sister Willow.
That's weird because it is one of the most busiest water holes in that area for people.
But for her sister not to know that,
kind of odd.
according to Willow, her sister, that she wasn't familiar with that area. Yeah.
That's odd because people travel from out of the way to come there.
Really?
Because of that. Well, if you see that first picture, there's like a rock, a big, huge rock mountain behind it. People jump from there.
Yeah, that's what they were at. That's what they showed earlier.
Yeah, and like when this first happened, when they were talking about it, they were saying, "Hey, people come from all over to go into this little spot and blah 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 blah." But I don't know. I mean, I mean, she's from that area.
She's from Ashland, Kentucky. Yes. About, I think they said about 200 miles from that location.
Yeah. Maybe she
Ashland,
didn't know,
Kentucky
but
to there.
yeah, I mean, maybe she didn't know, but I don't know. Or maybe not, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just found it kind of odd that once again, and like I said, I'm not saying anybody did anything because this definitely don't know, but it is kind of odd that everybody is keeping quiet. No one is saying nothing. Now, I read earlier when I was looking today on this case to refresh the case, I did read where they did say that it was like everybody was having amnesia.
They all got it at the same time.
You know?
Yeah. They all got it at the same time.
Yeah.
As
So
soon as she
I mean, why make it worse? And I'll tell you, like her or don't like her, Nancy Grace, she did ask those questions. How do you not, if this was an accident, how do you just not say, hey, we just didn't see her, it was an accident. Something must have happened because we didn't see her. Or we didn't but to say I can't remember.
As soon as she got off the boat, they all forgot. Yeah, I don't know.
It makes no sense in that aspect, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the Nolan Wells case. You know, I understand. You got the 23-year-old. What's his face? What's his name? What's his name?
Oh, Cameron Connolly.
Yeah, Cameron. You got Cameron, the teacher, and I know there was somebody else that was an adult age there. So that would be 3 people. He's 23. He's an adult. That's it. And the rest are underage. So, hello? So all the adults don't know anything? And, you know, why was there a teacher on there?
That's what Nancy Grace was asking. She said, was she divorced? Did she have somebody that she liked on the boat? This is Nancy Grace was saying all this. But yeah, you would ask yourself. And then I thought, well, I could see someone maybe a little younger as a newbie teacher, you know, just coming in, not knowing any better. But at 30 to 40 years old, I would think you're kind of in that. You've already done a few years, probably 5 years in teaching, that you should know better.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, crap. If I had my music teacher from when I was in high school on the boat, damn. I don't. How you
better be quiet for your wife hears you.
No, I'm working. Remember, I'm at.
Yeah, you keep looking behind you.
I'm good. No, I know. You never know. She may just appear.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's just odd. Like,
no, very well. I mean, that is true.
You know, I mean, these days, I see, you know, teachers having relations with all age kids. But I mean, God, if you're a teacher these days, wouldn't you know better than that already?
You would think, unless, you know, yeah, you would think. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, you know, love is a strange thing. But,
Marianne, okay, I have no more news. Marianne, I couldn't believe that AZ of all places, Arizona. Norma, I appreciate DD. Thank you for covering the case. You're welcome,
Arizona,
Marianne.
what?
Right. Norma, there's a lot going on in Arizona. Pam, yeah, Marianne, and they let him out of prison too. It's crazy.
Who?
Jersey
Who's out of
lady.
prison?
I remember hearing about the sister Willow and also the bathroom situation right from the start, and that there were some older people on the boat. Yes, Jersey lady. Without
Did I
a doubt.
miss something in Arizona?
I guess, let me see. Let me go back up here. Marianne said there was a guy arrested. Okay, let me go back a little further because it started with off topic. Someone was arrested with a pew pew by Trump's golf course in California. And then she said,
Jesus Christ! Sorry, hold on. I'll be right back.
Norma, yes, there sure is. Oleg took his father out, or someone saw her in a negative way, not jealousy, if you understand what I mean. Yes, absolutely. Marianne, that's how the system in Arizona works. The Jersey lady, Pam, Marianne, wasn't it his dad was unalive? Norma, hello, Jersey lady, Marianne, yes, Pam. One state I don't desire to visit now. Don't say that now, because I'm fixing to go there here in late October, going to Arizona. Norma, Marianne, that is trouble state. Without a doubt. Norma, amen, 1985. Well said, Marianne. It's crazy how much is going on in Arizona. Ole, when you have seen one cactus, you have seen them all. You can buy cactuses, little baby cactus plants at Walmart in the summertime. Well said. Barney, let's say that maybe someone saw Marley as a girl that got around too much and didn't like her. Very possible. They sure made it seem like that with the pictures that were showing there. They sure portrayed it like that, in my opinion. Norma, okay, Didi, gotta go, everyone. Have a blessed evening and see you all in the morning. You got it, Norma. Carolina, you too, Norma. Marianne, bye, Norma. Norma, Carol. Norma, Marianne. Pam, no one deserves to get unalive, but these young girls have to watch the way they act and dress. You know what I mean. I have a niece like that. I have tried to talk to her, pray nothing happens to her. It's a good point, Pam. That's a very good point. Very good point. Norma, Miss Barney, bye, Norma. Ole. Have a good night, Norma. Pam, you nailed it perfectly on your comment, Norma, says Pam. Photon, Pam, I never wanted to go to Arizona. I sure don't want to now. For sure, says Pam. Joshua says lovers argument. Very possible, my friend. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Appreciate all your insight as well. Norma, Oleg, April, in my opinion, it's not the fault of the victim, how they dress, etc. It's the six perps in this world. Well, that's true. Without a doubt, April. Without a doubt. Please click the like and subscribe, everybody. Do me that favor.
All right,
Carol,
sorry about
April, that's what Barney was saying. Joshua, go ahead.
I'm sorry I yelled, but I was here and there was still a teacher here and I didn't know. So she came down the hallway talking. Good thing I'm on hot medicine. I'd be dead right now. Holy shit. Fudge. Oh, man.
Joshua says, I'd be singing like a canary if I had nothing to do with it. Without a doubt. You would think that anybody who didn't know would be saying all those things that, like, why put yourself in a situation where you're going to be grouped with everybody else if you had nothing really to do with anything? You're exactly right, Josh. Very, very good point. Barney, oh man, I missed my boat along. The wrong person comes along and offers to hear a ride. Like the old days of hitchhiking, things went wrong. Very true, Barney. Pam, Barney, true. When I was growing up, people would hitchhike and they would become missing, and some of them are still missing. Photon says, sounds like he got scared. Very good point, Photon. Carol, Photon, probably mouse. Barney, Chris, swear, jar money. To see the bear got Chris. So he said that he didn't realize he's at his school right now, And he said he didn't realize there was a teacher there, and she was coming to ask for something, and it startled him. It was one of the teachers. Oh my Lord! I brought up
No,
like
it didn't.
six of
It didn't
them in
startle me.
Walmart
It gave me a
DVDs.
goddamn straight up heart attack. There was no startle.
Oh Lord! But AirTags, your wife, please, right? Definitely, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's like I said. I got a feeling we're fixing to get something to drop. Something's due to come with this case as far as the autopsy, and I don't know what they're holding off on unless they found something in the autopsy that is kind of strange. You know what I mean? If they found something in the autopsy that had any significance with a foul play, like, well, just think outside the box. Anything with foul play around the neck or whatnot, then they're not going to want to release it until they get a lot more and until they literally like try to get exactly what happened from everybody before they try to hold anybody accountable. If they don't find nothing in the autopsy, kind of like what they said about Elaine, right? Elena Moore. If they don't find nothing like that, then yeah, it's going to probably just become more than likely an unaliving through drowning. And then they'll probably go after, my opinion, they'll go after the captain because he was drinking and he was the one that was conducting the boat. So that's probably a fair guess there. But as far as the idea that if something shows up on there, they're probably wanting to make sure they got everybody on record, literally stating their piece on what happened, because once you give that statement under oath, there's no going back. Photon Boo says, Photon to Chris, where's our money? Doug says, teacher is out of place. Ex-boyfriend and his new girl suspicious. Plus new boyfriend curious if his ex was also there. Knowing all the players could be helpful. Very well said, Doug. Very well said. Great observation, my friend. So that's what we have for now, everybody. Tomorrow we'll be going at, we still going at 10, Chris? I think we're still going at 10. Joe,
Yeah.
woo,
10.
hey, Double Dog, glasses.
10.
10 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be
10
going.
o'clock.
We'll be doing myself and Chris, and make sure you're subscribed to him if you're not.
Why do you come first? Why couldn't it be me and you? Why does it have to be myself and Chris?
So it's Chris and
Haven't we
myself.
discussed this?
I always
All right,
I always have to bring up the rear every time. Jody, woo. Welcome
us.
in, Marianne. Hi, Jody.
It's us. It's us. Yeah, no, 10 a.m. and Nolan Wells and Nancy Guthrie.
Sounds good. And
I
Doug just got moved in.
Oh,
so Doug may be
congratulations.
available tomorrow.
All right, yeah, because I got a few things on Nolan. I have a presentation for Nolan. It's kind of like starting from the beginning again.
Okay.
A couple of, I don't know if they're new things, but stuff. And then just a couple of things about Nancy.
Okay.
Whatever.
Sounds good.
So, yeah. Are you ending?
Yeah, I think so.
It's about time. I'm tired of you
Yeah,
already.
I think
and I
so.
need to
We're at that 2-hour mark.
There you go.
All right, so
Doug
said he will be there, Chris.
Cool.
Tomorrow
Cool.
at
Awesome.
10 o'clock.
10 a.m. Yeah, so I'm going to jump off and finish cleaning up around here. I'll see you guys at 10 a.m.
You got it, brother. Semper
All
Fi,
right,
my
peace.
friend. Be safe.
Semper Fi. Thanks, chat. Love you guys. See you.
So that's what we got, everybody. Everybody have a great day, a great rest of your evening. I thank you all for coming on and sharing some time and ideas. Appreciate the new people that showed up and all your opinions, because they really matter, because they help everybody become more smarter, and I appreciate that. And everybody, just thank you. Thank you to all the mods. Thank you for everybody. We will be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m. tomorrow. That's when we're going to be here, tomorrow at 10. So I'll see you all then. We're going to be covering tomorrow. Chris has a presentation with Nolan Wells, and then he has some couple of tidbits on Nancy Guthrie. So that's what the topic will be, and I'll just let Chris run with it, and we'll go from there. But Doug will also be on panel too, so we'll have 3 people on panel, just to give you guys heads up. So thank you so much, everybody. God bless you. Appreciate all of you. Love you all. Stay safe until we see each other tomorrow. With that, everybody, Semper Fi. Remember, it's all common sense, everybody. Everything is common sense. Class dismissed, says Barney. Semper Fi, everybody.